Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Serial Gaming here, and it's been a while, but I was supposed to stream today, but I didn't do it because schedule has been a little bit hectic lately. But anyway, we'll be going to look at two characters that will be featured alongside, in the new banner with Cam's BT. But before we get into that, if you like my content today, do consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, and of course like the video. And of course, if you want to further support my channel, there's a join button where you can hit up to join my membership to further enjoy some additional perks and benefits. Anyway, moving on from there, we'll be looking at Desch and Machina. Starting off with Machina. So Machina actually get a freaking rework even though his kit is so busted. Before we get into his rework, I just want to say Machina is undoubtedly the strongest crystal level 80 characters that we have, and he's still so good even right now without ultimate weapon. So with crystal level 90, of course he's gonna be gain access to ultimate weapon, which will significantly increase his freakish damage as if he needed more. And what's worse, right now his rework, as you can see right here, he get an EX upgrade, of course, from the crystal level 90, which increases his counter into right now having a single target HP attack, which is very, very needed because his counter previously honestly just kind of counter with bravery and doing nothing after that. It kind of sucks. But the idea is Machina always follow up with his LD debuff attack, which is the LD follow-up attack that you normally see every time he counters as well. So that's a huge plus with now additional HP dumps from the counter. He get 3 HP dumps overall, since they also improve his LD counter debuff. The LD follow-up attack, depends on how you want to look at it. It becomes a 2 single target, a 2 split AoE HP attack, which is, it's not a lot, but Machina don't deserve to get a lot, to be honest, because he's already so broken with that HP attack. So I think it's fair to even say that even if he doesn't get any rework, it's fair for Machina because he just broke the game so much during his BT release that he's so good even at this point. Okay, so anyway, if you're looking at Machina, whether or not he's worthy of your resources at this current moment. Okay, Machina is actually really good, still very, very good at currently. I think Desch with his FR and his rework might fare a little bit better than Machina, but that is really, it's not exactly comparable because the way they play out is completely different. Desch specializes in turn hogging, whereas Machina is specialized at the current moment in a huge chunk of damage at a very certain amount of action. Machina, the best thing about Machina is always the utilization of his BT phase, since he can spam his HP attack without having to worry the low turn rate. However, Machina do get his FR later down the line, which is super broken as well. So if you don't have his kit, you might want to wait up until later because his FR is gonna makes him so good that it's just very hard to pass on his FR later down the line. So unless you're a very huge Machina fan and you have most of his kit and you just want to BT plus him, or you just want to BT token him at this current moment, I do recommend wait until later. Machina is good, like I said, but we have a lot of damage dealer coming up soon with Desch as well as with units like honestly maybe just Desch until perhaps Cloud of Darkness FR later. But anyway, that's not really the point. At this point of the game, unless you're a very new player, you already have tons of DPS characters. So Machina is very good to have, but definitely not a very definitive at this current moment. Alright, so we're gonna move into the consolidation price of this banner. Because let's be honest, for us older players, we only want this event to happen just so we can upgrade our existing Machina and then skip this entire banner. So Desch came with an upgrade of his FR. He also has a decent amount of reworks with his base skill as well as some decent buff onto the entire party to provide more protection to the party. So for those who never used Desch before, his LD actually allows him to apply certain RNG debuff on the enemies. Depends on how lucky you are. You may get a very good debuff, or you may even get paralysis on the enemy every time the enemy takes a turn. However, right now with his upgrade, he does have more decent mitigation from bravery damage as well as HP attack. Although Desch does alternate between his buff for magic and physical bravery attack. For his skill 1 is more catered to his magic bravery attack reduction from the enemy, and for skill 2 is more of the physical attack. So it depends on which buff you want to go for. You have to actually understand what skill of the enemy is performing, or what skill they are highly dependent on, whether or not it's physical or magical, to determine whether or not which buff you're going for Desch. Desch is also an enchanter with Thunder enchant to the entire party, and Thunder in peril of course, and he also heals the party quite regularly, so I guess he's a very decent support and damage mitigation. The only problem I find with Desch is actually his FR. So, okay, Desch FR, when using his FR, it actually helps by applying 2 turns of paralysis to all target. So this is nice because you don't get 2 turns paralysis very often. Okay, that is one thing that is good about Desch, which he applied that paralysis actually helps with his own FR condition, since Desch FR condition is actually letting the enemy take turns while they are being paralyzed, or you should say while they cannot take any action, or performing a Thunder Elemental attack. Okay, so first of all, the Thunder Elemental attack must be performed on turn, so you can almost never fulfill both conditions at the same time with the current units that we have. Maybe they create a unit later on that could perform such feat, but for now, yes, there's no way you can actually perform 2 conditions at the same time. So the highest percentage add up you can go for Desch is actually 40%. I'm sorry, I mean 30% if the enemy takes a turn. And of course, while they're taking turns, you will not consume the action that you have during your force time. So that is a huge plus for Desch, I guess. However, Desch normally when you comes in the form of his second condition, which is the enemy taking a turn without acting, which means that you have to either paralyze them or actually disable them in some form. So the problem with this is actually the fact that we don't have a lot of guaranteed paralysis in our team right now. So units such as Cloud actually has guaranteed paralysis, but only single target and only after he uses skill 2. The funny thing about this Cloud is in his rework, he's actually going to work really well with Desch, but we're not going to wait for at least 6 months for that. So yeah, that is not really a good option. And then we have Shantoto, which actually has that guaranteed paralysis, but it only works on her LD. The same thing can be said for Crow, but Crow's paralysis only works after the enemy takes an action. And again, it's only applicable on her LD, which is also limited for usage wise. But the fact that Desch actually has 2 paralysis once he performed his FR, you can actually time it right with Crow by applying her LD while the enemy has only 1 turn of paralysis left. And then by doing that, they can actually be paralyzed for 3 turns. And paralyzed for 3 turns consecutively can actually increase your FR at a very considerate amount. If you consider 2 enemies in the stage, it's 60% per paralysis. And 3 paralysis means that you can go up to 180%. So I guess it's a huge, nice deal to have. But then again, if you want to go up as far as Cam, you actually have to be consistent on your paralysis or on your disable. So units such as Arciela or Kafka can actually be quite helpful if the enemy is very HP attack friendly. Cam is good only because he has paralysis in his BT. However, do understand that Cam actually warp turns in if the enemy takes a turn. So it's not the most ideal because you want the enemy to be constantly paralyzed and you don't want to take too much action to not reduce the force time from Desch itself. So again, the problem with Desch is, with the current units that we have right now, there's not much compatibility alongside Desch. I may be wrong, but the only one I can see so far is really Crow, Cloud, Shantoto, Arciela, and Kefka, but in a very situational base. Of course, you can go with units like Edward to sleep the entire enemy, but again, Edward's debuff goes down every time the player takes an action on the enemy. So that is not exactly the most ideal situation unless you can be consistent on the enemy taking a lot of turns. That's my opinion on Desch anyway. I'm gonna skip the character though. If I get lucky, then I might be inclined to try to max out his kit, but only on my main account, because the fact that I actually have quite a bit of unit that I can go with Desch there. My alternate is definitely a no-no at this point because of how lacking in the roster. Anyway, about this banner, again, I'm gonna say that Machina is the real price of the banner. Despite being a crystal level 90 unit without an FR, he's still one of the stronger DPS character, although we do get Tidus later on with an FR, so you might want to wait out for Machina until his FR, because his own FR is going to be absolutely monstrosity, making him an absolute monster. So in my opinion, this banner is really just not worth going for at this point, unless, of course, they are your favorite. Otherwise, you can just wait out for future FR, especially Tidus being so close. Yes, I do recommend Tidus, even though I do find him a little bit boring to play sometimes, but he's still a very strong character, I don't deny that, and I'll be talking about it furthermore on my next video. Not next, but you know, future videos. Anyway, thank you guys again for watching. What are your plans on this particular character, and what are your plans on Machina? Are you actually gonna just crystal level 90 him, or are you actually waiting out for the BT plus? Although he already have it, but I don't know, some people is just gonna wait out until he get his crystal level 90 to actually BT plus, I guess. But anyway, what are your plans? And let me know down in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.